So as part of the 6-week challenge, we want to give you some nutrition advice. Now, it could be broad. So I'm here today with Ash Mitchell, who's one of our in-life wellness reformer Pilates instructors, and she's also a dietitian. So we're really lucky to have Ash as part of the team. So I've always felt nutrition's it's a fascinating topic. It's quite personal. It can depend on your background, your likes, dislikes, your preferences, your upbringing, your religion, all sorts of things like that. So I'd like to make this interview style with Ash. Take from it what you will, and we're going to draw upon Ash's experience and have a little chat about nutrition. So welcome, Ash. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So Ash, tell us about what you do.
So what a dietitian typically does is when someone comes in to see us, we'll talk to them about why they've come, what they want to achieve out of the consult. We'll often have a look at sort of their measurements and then go through what a typical day would look like for them with their food and routine, all of their life balance and exercise. And then we'll work with them to implement strategies that are going to be helpful to get the most out of their nutrition.
So you must see lots of different types of people with different goals?
Yeah, we sure do. And it's very individual.
Cool.
So we want to prescribe something that is suitable and working with the person to make it achievable for them.
Cool. That's good. I think that's a great start, like contextually, because everybody really is different with nutrition. And with that in mind, have you heard that question before? Like, what's more important, nutrition or exercise? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we hear that a lot actually. And really both what we eat and how much we exercise play a significant impact on our health overall. So for exercise, not only are we burning calories, but we're also building muscles and our stability and supporting our aspects of daily living and boosting our mood. But then I hear people say, I'm exercising so much, why can't I lose weight? And that's really where nutrition plays a big role. So we want to make sure that we're eating the right amounts of food, but also the right types of food, so that we're really nourishing our body and getting all the vitamins and minerals and everything we need.
That's a really good point. And we won't go off topic too much today, but it is a conversation, and your responses are going to provoke more questions, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what I was thinking is a lot of people I've met in the last 20 years, they're trying to, tone up or lose a bit of weight. And sometimes if you're trying to restrict or reduce your calories, you might miss out on some of those more, nutritious aspects to a healthy diet.
Yeah, that's really true. So it's about thinking about food as fuel for our body and what we need to get everything out of it. Yep. So yes, it is having the right quantity of calories, but that's not the main thing. We want to get enjoyment out of it as well as everything that our body needs.
So what should a typical day's food include?
Yeah, so we want to focus on things from the core food groups. So that's looking at, say, a protein food. And so protein is really important, not only for building muscle, but also for repairing our body. And so protein foods are things like your meat, chicken or fish, as well as vegetarian sources like eggs and legumes and nuts. And then we want to be including some carbohydrate foods as well. So these help give us energy for what we need to achieve in the day. And it's things like your bread, cereal, rice, pasta, noodles. Choosing whole grain options is really important. It can give you like a sustained energy release. If we're getting our carbs from sugary foods or soft drinks and things, you tend to get the spike and then a slump. So it's aiming for those whole grain things. We want to be, it's a pretty wide variety, so we want to be including lots of vegetables and fruit for our gut health, and some fats. So really aiming for unsaturated fats are great for our heart health. So that's things like avocados, olive oil, nuts, oily fish, as well as some dairy foods for our strong bones. So milk, yogurt, cheese.
A bit of everything, that's cool.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Your coffee, is that okay?
Yeah, coffee's fine. So look, when it comes to drinks, we want to be focusing on water mainly, but having the odd coffee, it's a sense of enjoyment. Something that people often don't realise is the amount of energy that comes in from drinks. So if you are having lots and lots of coffees over the day, or your large milky coffees with lots of syrup, it's going to give lots of extra energy. Same goes with alcohol. Something I like to point out to people is that if they're, say, having 1 glass of wine with dinner, it's like having a Tim Tam on the side. Same amount of energy as a Tim Tam.
Right.
So if you then go out and have 3 large glasses of wine, it's like you're having a Big Mac on the side of your dinner.
Right. Okay.
So it adds up really easily.
Yeah, I think it helps to compare like that.
Yeah, so focusing on water is important. Yeah.
How much food should be on the plate? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, so it is very individual and different for everyone. As a general rule for adults, we typically aim for about half the plate to be veggies or salad, a quarter of the plate to be a protein food, and a quarter of the plate to be carbs.
Yep.
And that sort of gives the right balance of nutrition that we need, as well as adding some fat. So it doesn't have to be like a boring lettuce leaf on the side.
That's cool.
But, focusing on the really yummy salads and adding some nuts or some olive oil, avocado on top is really important. But plates really have grown. So the plate's not a ways of best yardstick. So thinking about the size of your plate and sort of not necessarily aiming to fill it. Some people like practical portions, like a protein the size of the palm can be helpful because our palm's relative to our body size. But really the most important thing is to listen to how hungry you are.
Yep.
So if you've got those proportions going on, listening to your body, and if you're starting to feel satisfied, then stopping eating. Because typically we feel a lot more full about 20 minutes after we're finished.
Right. Yeah. Not
so, so if you eat till you're full, you're going to explode 20 minutes later and have that feeling. So really trying to tune in there is important.
So, yeah, probably a bunch of questions come to mind there, but snacking, is that okay?
Yeah, so snacking can be great, particularly if we're increasing exercise, so doing more at the gym, then we're going to need a bit more energy or have those cravings for more food anyway. So if we try and go long periods without eating, it's really easy to grab the chocolate bar at the checkout, or you walk past the pantry, you want the chips. So by including some nourishing snacks, so maybe a morning snack or an afternoon snack or both, when you are hungry, it can help stop that mindless eating and get more nutrition out of our food. So things like that have a little bit of carb and a little bit of protein, like your Greek yogurt with fruit, or your hummus with carrot sticks, your eggs and whole grain crackers. They're really good choices.
Sounds like good choices. Sounds healthy and yummy.
Yeah.
But what if someone's, trying to lose weight and they're not losing weight? What does that tell you, if anything?
Look, that in itself is individual. Weight loss is a really complex thing. So for that, I would generally recommend seeing a dietitian for an individualized approach. So if people want to see a dietitian, for adults, it's good to go on the Dietitians Association of Australia website, because that lists accredited dietitians per area. So people know they're going to get information they trust with someone that's experienced. If they want sort of more advice on general healthy eating strategies, there's a really good website called eatforhealth.gov.au. So it's got portion guides and recipes and things that can be quite good.
That's cool. That's good. You touched on water before.
Yeah.
One of my questions was, what do you recommend people drink? That's the main one. Is that right?
Yeah, but we also need to keep it interesting. So I get that some people, they don't want to drink water all the time. So looking for things that don't have all that extra energy in them, like your sparkling flavored mineral waters. Diet soft drink every now and then is okay, but you want to focus on water as being the main thing. Having a cup of milk, if it's in place of a snack, that can be a really good choice. But it's really when the extras add up through fluid that it's more of a problem. Yeah.
What about the best diet for weight loss?
So that's really comes down to having a balanced diet. So those core food groups we spoke about at the beginning play a big role. We see when people go on things like detox diets, or there's so many out there, fasting, skipping meals, lots of things that are on trend and on Instagram and things, that they sometimes do work. You do see rapid weight loss. But the problem with rapid weight loss is that the protein in the body is often lost as well. And these diets are usually not sustainable. So when you go back to eating normally, it's actually easier to gain weight. So you get that yo-yo effect. So focusing on little tiny changes involving the core food groues and really playing the long game when it comes to nutrition is what's going to be long-term sustainable weight loss.
That's a good answer. We spoke in the challenge intro video about the challenge being a platform to create better habits, not just a 6-week start and finish. I was in a gym once and I saw a guy and I said, "Oh, how's your training going?" And he said, "Really good, I'm doing the challenge." He said, 12 days to go. And the guy I was with said, "Until what?" And it usually implies like some sort of endpoint or, then the big feast after the challenge. But we're trying not to promote that. In your practice, do you see many weight loss, do you call them clients?
Yeah, I do. So my practice is actually Nourish Pediatrics. So I see kids. So not to 18.
Right. Cool.
But a lot of it is working with the family as well. For a child to change, it's sustainable habits for the whole family. Cool. So we do see some clients for that.
Interesting. Interesting. Kids. What about, do you have any advice around setting nutrition goals?
Yeah, so when it comes to goal setting, we want something to be specific so we can see that we've achieved it. But also I like to think of positive goals. So an example of what I mean by that is if we were to set a negative goal, might be not eating chocolate for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So it comes back to like what you've said before, what happens at the end of the 6 weeks. So studies sort of show that if someone is feeling deprived and like they're restricting, they're going to think about it more. So if I say no chocolate for 6 weeks, all I'm going to think about is when I eat chocolate when I walk past the pantry. At the end of the 6 weeks, commonly people will binge a whole block of chocolate and it kind of defeated the purpose. So you want to sort of think about what's a good sustainable habit as a goal. Yep. So crowding half my plate with vegetables or salad forever. Yep. And it's those little small positive achievable things that can keep us ticking away. And once that's achieved, you want to keep it in there and then set another small measurable positive goal of what you can do to support your health and nutrition.
Cool, good answer. I was just thinking in the studios, we see a lot of people that where exercise is not a problem. Like you would have seen people come 4, 5, 6 times a week. Do you think with nutrition, some people have a danger time of the day, or do they have like a vice?
Often it's governed by our appetite. So when people are hungry is quite variable. If they say haven't had a snack, then it might be the time leading up to dinner that's the vice for them. So, you're cooking a meal and eating it out of the fridge, not realizing it because that's your craving time and haven't thought of. So that's why it's really important to have those snacks and routines around meals.
So, like some people wake up starving and some people don't wake up hungry at all.
Exactly.
Did you mention before, did you say listen to your body or listen to your hunger?
Yeah. And fullness,
It's the fullness. That's the funny one, isn't it? Because it's quite nice to feel full sometimes, but you're saying like, just bear in mind you're going to be full 20 minutes after.
Yeah, so it's more, it's difficult. It's so hard. Like lots of people do struggle with tuning into their body. So sort of thinking about, am I just satisfied is kind of what we're aiming for. So it's not to still feel hungry. You don't want to be depriving. If you're hungry, get the second portion of food. That's okay. But if you're not quite and you're just eating because it's tasty, that's when you want to think, I'll take a pause. I can have it tomorrow. It's okay.
What about the concept of the calorie deficit? Is that valid? Like to lose weight or tone up, you've got to consume more calories. You've got to consume less calories than you're burning, or is that hard for people to judge?
So that is true, but it comes down to doing it gradually. So that's where we get on that yo-yo diet track if we're really restricting. But the idea for weight loss is to have slightly less calories than what your body needs.
Slightly less,
but to still try and feel satisfied. So that's where all the veggies come in, and you don't want to be feeling like you're craving things all the time because then it's not really sustainable.
So the veggies they're nutritious, they're high in fiber, high in vitamins and minerals, they're relatively low calories, GI, so they're a pretty great choice. Now I always think it's hard, like, okay, if I had to consume less calories than I was burning in a 24-hour period or a week, like I don't know how many calories I'm burning in exercise or in the course of a day, and I don't know how many I'm consuming unless I go to great efforts to write it down. I just think it's a fine line. And if someone is trying to lose a kilo or two, are they going to be hungry from time to time?
Sometimes, it is so individual, and as you've said, it's really hard to work out calories. There are so many studies on it, and even like unless you have a direct calorimeter, like a machine that you can measure it, it's really hard. So we do find even in practice, estimating how much energy someone may need to prescribe a diet is hard. It comes down to focusing in on those core food groups, trying not to let the empty calories sneaking in, like from the drinks and refined processed foods, things that are not going to make us feel full.
But can those foods not make you feel full, but make you hungrier sometimes? Not necessarily, it depends. No, I was just thinking about what happens when I eat low quality foods and I feel like I'm hungry again 90 minutes later. But
yeah, exactly. No, that is true. So in those sorts of high energy foods, they're typically refined carbohydrates. So there are a few factors at play. One is glycemic index. So it gives you that spike. It's digested really quickly. You don't feel full. Whereas if you choose a quality food, if it's something that's got protein in it, it's going to be slower to digest and keep you fuller for longer. If it's something that's got fiber in it, like your fruit or your vegetables, again, slower to digest and keep you fuller for longer.
Cool.
So that's the impact that's playing there.
So thanks very much, Ash, for sharing your thoughts on a healthy, balanced diet. Hope you took something out of that you can use through the 6-week challenge and beyond.